after 6 p.m., I'll go ahead and call to order the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors for January 15, 2019. If all members could please press their 10 buttons and silence any cell phones. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Supervisor Locke. If you all can please stand. The flag is to your right. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Supervisor Locke.
Bless us as we gather for this meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so that we will work for the good of our community. Teach us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Amen.
Thank you, Supervisor Locke. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of this evening's agenda. I'll call on Supervisor Rubble.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move for approval of this evening's agenda.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
We have an amended agenda that we have to take care of also.
Thank you, Supervisor Rubble. We'll take that up when we bring that resolution to the floor later this evening. Thank you. So we did have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down to the next item, and that's the time in the agenda which we give the opportunity for the public to speak on any item on the agenda this evening or any issue under county jurisdiction. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Is there anyone who wishes to speak? I'll say for a final time, is there anyone who wishes to speak on any item on the agenda? And we'll close that portion of the meeting and move right down to the correspondence and resolutions from other counties. I'll call on the county clerk.
Thank you. There are 5 resolutions coming from the other counties as listed on your agenda. Columbia County regarding increasing compensation for defense counsel appointed by the Wisconsin Public Defender's Office. Door County requesting state law change, allowing counties the use of the design, build, construction method and update the statutory bidding requirements. Another from Door County that is in support of legalization of medical cannabis. Lincoln County, resolution in support of increased county child support funding, and Marathon County, a resolution to support increased compensation for defense counsel assigned by the state public defender. Those will all be referred to the legislative committee.
Thank you, Clerk Ertmer. Next item on the agenda is reports from committees, commissions, and boards. Any reports from any supervisor? I'll call first on Supervisor Eisen, followed by Vice Chairman Egan. Supervisor Eisen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. NACO is the National Association of Counties, which is the principal national association for counties throughout the country. NACO publishes a monthly news publication entitled County News. In the January 7th, 2019 edition, Winnebago County is featured on their page 12, the back page, in their word search. If you've ever done puzzles in newspapers or whatever, this is a word search for which Winnebago County, Wisconsin is featured. Anyone who's interested in seeing an original copy of that can stop and see me. Anyone who is interested in having a photocopy of that word search, also you can see me on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Eisen. Next speaker is Vice Chairman Egan, followed by Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I want to remind everybody, on the 28th at 8:30 in the morning out at the Coughlin Center, we will be having our legislative meeting. I think it'll be very interesting. One of the things that will be a topic will be the sex defender thing, and this, everything that we're going to have to do. We're going to really try and work the legislators in on that, see if we know when some are going to get let loose and all that. But Mary Ann and some of her staff and that will also be there. We have some other interesting things coming up there. Only regular ones available to vote, but it's open to everyone. So if you can make it at all, I think it'll be a very interesting meeting. So the 28th at 8:30.
Thank you, Vice
And
Chair.
the other, I got one more thing.
Apologize.
I have to tell this. The last thing is, tonight, on behalf of Julie Bartles and myself, this will be our last, from the Accounting Association. This is our last thing from the fair. Everything that happened this last year and that, and unfortunately it isn't the best, but this will be the last one. So if you have any questions, you can ask Julie. The new officers are Mike Dumke. Vice Chairman is Dave Mulkey. The Secretary is Karen Cowling. And the new treasurer is Colleen Beiser. So they're all younger ones, and I think they'll be good ones, and we're all still going to work with them. So hopefully you'll give them all the support that you have us in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Egan. Next speaker is Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to congratulate the sheriffs of departments of Douglas and Barron County for the safe return of Jamie Klaus. And I'd also like to recognize and applaud the Sheriff's Department of Outagamie County, where who were recently recognized by Good Morning America. A little girl and her grandmother were involved in a car accident. They weren't hurt, but her birthday cupcakes were destroyed, and the deputy went out, bought some fresh cupcakes, and brought them to school so the little girl would have a birthday party. And I just want to applaud those 3 counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. Seeing no other call-ins, we'll close that item on the agenda and move right to the approval of the proceedings from the December 18, 2018 County Board meeting. Is there a motion? There's a motion and a second. Any changes, adjustments, discussion? Then all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving right on down to the County Executive's report. Executive Harris? Yes. Oh, I apologize. So please go ahead and Supervisor Lenz, and then we'll do the County Executive report afterward.
Just on the, it says page 92, I had asked last week that we change the spelling of my last name to Lenz.
You absolutely correctly did, so we'll make sure we make that
And
adjustment.
that was resolution number 98, 12, 2018.
Thank you. It's been corrected in the resolution, but we'll make certain that it's corrected in the minutes as well. Thank you very much. All right. County Executive?
I'm just going to mention briefly, there's a Resolution 105, and that's the annual amount that we have to pay to out-of-county libraries for residents within the county that use those out-of-county libraries. And that actually comes out of state statute. We're required to pay for that. And the libraries within Winnebago County, those communities would receive payments from other counties whose residents use those libraries. Now, it is interesting, though, to note that if a neighboring county has the same amount of use of our libraries as we use of their libraries, it's not a wash. We have to pay into their libraries, and they have to pay into ours. So the money flows from counties to libraries, but that's how the state statute is set up. The other item is ordinance number 104. I know you have an amended copy of that, and I believe that's worthy of support. It's just a streamlining of the no-wake procedures in the event of flooding. And I think that's something worth doing, because in the event of a flood, you can have a lot of shoreline damage from boats traveling at too high a speed. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Executive Harris.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is the County Board Chairman's Report. So first, a few excusals for tonight. Supervisors Warnke, Shorsey, Fari, Albrecht, and Buck all asked to be excused tonight. Then wanted to make sure you saw on your desk tonight, you should have the print copy now of the Executive Capital Improvements Plan. So just making sure everyone's aware of that and has a copy. If you don't, certainly please let us know. And certainly thanks to the Finance Director for providing that for us this evening. Then I want to let you know that Supervisor Timothy Hogan asked for me to read his letter of resignation into the record. It has some thank yous to you all. And so I plan to do that. But before I do, I just wanted to update you on the process. So we have prepared the postings. Those will go out this weekend. We anticipate they'll go out this weekend. Those have to be up and posted for at least 2 weeks. Then once we have those candidates, we'll review and ultimately make a selection that we will bring forward to this board for approval. And so once again, that's for both former Supervisor Wallen's district as well as former Supervisor Hogan's district. And so, once again, he asked me to read his letter into the record, and it's as follows. Dear Chairman Ramos, it is with deep regret that I must resign from my current position as supervisor, as my wife and I have relocated outside of the boundaries of District 9. It has been a privilege to serve on the county board, led by an outstanding chairman. I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to serve the citizens of Winnebago County, and I'm saddened that I can no longer do so in this capacity. I have appreciated my time on the Winnebago County Board, and I will leave it with experiences that will aid my decisions in whatever challenges await me. To my fellow supervisors, I would like to thank you for being respectful of one another and supporting open discourse regarding county issues. Winnebago County is truly benefited by the thoughtful and insightful comments we all shared. I am grateful for everything we have accomplished for Winnebago County and hope that the board will rise to the many challenges that will come before it. If I can be of any assistance during the time it will take to fill my position, please contact me. Sincerely, Timothy Hogan. So, he wanted to make sure that he thanked you all for all your efforts and interactions during his time on the board. And that concludes my report. So we will move right on down to the next agenda item, and that is a presentation. So that's a presentation of the Law Enforcement Challenge Winner Award to our own Sheriff John Motz and Jody Truss, Senior Risk Management Consultant from the Wisconsin County Mutual Insurance Corporation, is here to present that award. So please, good evening.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Josh Dirksey. I'm Director of Client Services for the Wisconsin County Mutual Insurance Corporation. We are your current liability insurance carrier. We were founded in 1988 by Wisconsin counties and for Wisconsin counties, and we remain to this day owned and operated by our members, which are Wisconsin counties. We have a board of directors comprised of 18 county board supervisors. In fact, David Albrecht, one of your peers, serves on our board of directors. Because we're a member-owned insurance company, we seek to return a lot of our services and tailor our coverage to suit your specific and unique needs. And so we do that through some very important committees. We have 4 advisory committees that you all in this room have the opportunity to serve on, and those can have a great effect on the coverage in underwriting. It can have a huge effect on the claims and determining claim outcomes, loss prevention and risk management services, and investments in the company. So I would encourage you all to become involved in your insurance company. One of the value-added services that we provide is our ALERT program. ALERT stands for the Advanced Law Enforcement Risk Training Program, and its goal is to bring risk management principles to the law enforcement community. We offer 2 firearms training tools. One is called our Milo system, which is a scenario-based training tool. It's very mobile. You can take it and train within a sheriff's department's training room, and runs any trainee through a wide variety of scenarios and really tests their ability to communicate with the subject on the screen. And also, in cases of use of force, it has a number of laser-fitted duty weapons. We also have the iCombat system, which is a mobile, zero-footprint training tool that allows your sheriff's department to train here in the county boardroom in an active shooter scenario. And all of those various tools are available to you free of charge, at no additional cost. So encourage the Sheriff's Department, encourage the county as a whole to take advantage of a lot of those value-added services. In addition, Jody Truss is your dedicated risk management consultant. So any employee training initiatives, any risk management consultation matters, she's your go-to person. So through the ALERT program, though, we created the Law Enforcement Challenge 7 years ago. And the Law Enforcement Challenge goal was to bring together our member sheriff's departments, promote those tools that I just mentioned, and also have a fun day of competition and networking. So on October 3rd of this year, we held our 7th annual Law Enforcement Challenge in Stevens Point. We had a number of sheriff's departments compete. The course was very daunting. It involved a 200-yard run, followed by a pistol shot at 25, 15, and 10 yards. The 10-yard shot was with the non-dominant hand. Following the pistol shoot, the competitor had to drag a 160-pound rescue dummy 50 yards and then complete a shot with their rifles at 75 yards. So all of that was timed, all of the marksmanship was obviously tracked, and after a very daunting course, it was very exciting to be able to identify our first place winner, Detective Tyler Sleater. And so, on behalf of the Wisconsin County Mutual Board of Directors, it is my pleasure to present this check in the amount of $10,000 to the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office for Detective Sleater's first place finish. So.
No, I'm going to stay out of that photo. I'm not going to use it for a nose job, but we are going to use this money to purchase some additional body cameras. So we will have some additional units that we'll use for the detective division when they execute search warrants and those types of things where that type of documentation is needed in some additional storage. So came at a really good time for us. Detective Sleater put in a lot of his own time honing his skills, and we're very proud of him and thankful to the Wisconsin Counties Association for offering the competition. We've come very close to winning it in the past, and finally we have, and we let the other competitors know that Tyler was able to win it. So hopefully next year we can win it again. Thank you.
And I do have the real check.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Detective Schluter and Sheriff Motz as well. It certainly reflects very well on the department. So that completes the agenda prior to the resolutions, so we'll move right on down to resolutions and ordinances. We have 7 this evening. The first one is resolution number 099-012019, commendation for Kathy Buffington. I'll call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for Resolution 099-1-2019. After completing 2 temporary assignments, Kathy Buffington was hired as a regular full-time social worker in June 1997. Her original assignment was on the Child and Family Team, but in 1999 she transferred to a position with the Juvenile Justice Unit. Throughout most of her tenure,
I think his mic went off.
It's back on now.
Okay, I'll back up a little bit. Her original assignment was on the Child and Family Team, but in 1999 she transferred to a position with the Juvenile Justice Unit. Throughout most of her tenure, Kathy was very involved with the Bridges program, working with schools, law enforcement, and other community groups to address truancy and encourage youth to be successful in school. Kathy was a skilled and conscientious social worker and a team player who always had a positive attitude. Kathy retired on January 2nd, 2019, following 22 years of service to Winnebago County. We wish her the best in her retirement.
Thank you, Supervisor Rasmussen. There was a motion and a second. We'll do it by voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on right down to the next resolution, which is resolution number 100-012019, commendation for Carla Stark. I'll once again call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I'll move for Resolution 100-1-2019. Carla Stark began work as a nurse aide at Parkview Health Center on August 17, 1986. She became a case aide 2 in the income maintenance unit at Human Services in 1988, a social worker in the older adult unit in 1990, and an ADRC specialist in 2010. Carla always took a caring approach to her work. She had strong interviewing skills, and her ability to empathize with client feelings and needs made it easy for her to build trust between herself and clients. Carla retired from Winnebago County employment on January 4th, 2019. Please join me in thanking her for her more than 32 years of service.
Thank you Supervisor Rasmussen. Once again, there was a motion and a second, so we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down to the third resolution, and that's resolution number 101-012019, commendation for Michelle Haffemeister. I'll once again call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I move for Resolution 101-2019. Michelle Hafmeister began her career with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office in 1988 as a 911 dispatcher. Michelle worked multiple shifts throughout her career and was a loyal employee who placed the needs of the agency and others above her own. As the initial point of contact for citizens in distress, Michelle professionally coordinated the response of police, fire, and ambulance services to countless emergencies over her 30-year career. Her knowledge and experience distinguish her from others, and she was promoted to dispatcher in charge. Michelle's service to the citizens of Winnebago County is both appreciated and deserving of recognition. Please join me in expressing our gratitude and best wishes as she enters retirement.
Thank you Supervisor Rasmussen. Once again, there was a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the fourth resolution, which is resolution number 102-012019, commendation for Roger Peters. I'll once again call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I'll move for Resolution 102-2019. With 27 years of service to the citizens of Winnebago County, Roger Peters retired from the Sheriff's Office on January 4th, 2019. Roger began his career with the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office in 1991 as a corrections deputy. In 1994, Roger transferred to the Patrol Division and with his great interpersonal skills began to make his mark on the agency and the community he served. While in patrol, Roger was a steadfast, consistent, and dedicated employee. Over the years, Roger thoroughly investigated numerous complaints, followed up on investigations, and showed compassion for victims during their time of need. Roger was a staple in the Patrol Division and could often be counted on to offer his knowledge to inexperienced deputies. Roger's professionalism and compassionate service are both commendable and appreciated. Please join me in expressing our gratitude and best wishes as he enters retirement.
Thank you Supervisor Rasmussen. Once again, there was a motion and a second. We'll do it by a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next resolution, which is resolution number 103-012019. Disallow claim of Wisconsin Public Service Corporation. I'll once again call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you. I'll move for Resolution 103-10-2019.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on down to the next item, which is ordinance number 104-012019. Create section 9.41 of the General Code of Winnebago County, enactment of boating regulations throughout Winnebago County. And please note there's an amended resolution that you all should have on your desk. I will call on Supervisor Wingren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of ordinance 104-1-2019. As Mr. Harris said, this not only has an impact on the safety of boaters, but also has a huge impact on the environment. So I urge your approval.
Thank you, Supervisor Wingren. Any discussion? I'll call on Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, I got your email that you were amending at that time line 31 to any watercraft capable. Do you think it might be advisable to, or better to just say any vehicle capable? Because some of these things are not actually classified as watercraft, but they can be used both on land and water. And I'm just wondering if you could, any vehicle capable as being used would be advisable.
I'll call on Sheriff Motz.
I believe, I would have to go back to the DNR's definition, but the wakes, I think, deal with watercraft, but, you know, if we do have something that's in between, certainly we could address it. If a citation is issued, you know, we could address it then. I believe that the no wake DNR definition is watercraft.
Thank you, Supervisor Snyder, and thank you, Sheriff Motz. Next speaker is Supervisor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think probably what we could do is just add the line amphibious vehicle.
Sheriff, do you have some thoughts in regards to that language?
If you don't mind, we could just leave it the way it is, because although I'm not absolutely certain, and I believe it would pass the court's test of watercraft as being used as a definition for the no wake. And by the way, this was really started with issues that occurred at Little Lake Butamore last spring, and issues that we've had in previous years where the town of Wolf River enacted their own slow no wake. And there is some of the, you can't create a town ordinance that the district attorney cannot take law enforcement action on a town ordinance. He can't act as their corporation counsel. There's a statute that prohibits it. So this gives us the ability to enact slow no wakes where it's a danger to not only the boating public, but then as stated, the property damage that's caused is for a limited period of time. We would post it at boat landings. We would post it on social media. We would post it with the local jurisdiction. There would be coordination with the local jurisdiction. But to try to get all those entities together in a very quick manner to address what could just be a few days slow no wake, it would just take too long. Outagamie and Wapaka County have been using it for some time, and given the amount of waterways that we have compared to those two jurisdictions, it only makes sense that we use something similar.
Thank you, Sheriff Motz. I will call on the Corporation Counsel to follow up in regards to that. Perhaps maybe if you could come to the lectern. Thank you.
Just to clarify, when Sheriff Motz asked me to look at this, I did some research, and I got the guideline for creating local boating ordinances. It was issued by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, and sure enough, in it, it does use the word watercraft. It talks about regulation of watercraft by type. So given that, I think it might be best to keep the word watercraft.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. Thank you, Sheriff Motz. Thank you, Supervisor Smith. Seeing no other call-ins, we'll go ahead and once again do this by voice vote. Please note, we are voting on the resolution as amended that you have before you that was on your desk this evening. So we will do it by a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So moving on down to the final resolution this evening, and that is resolution number 105-012019. Authorize a transfer of $41,837 from the undesignated general fund balance to the miscellaneous unclassified operating grants expenditures to reimburse for Winnebago County resident library usage in adjacent counties. I'll call on Supervisor Rasmussen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move for approval of Resolution 105-2019. I just add that this was a charge that we received after budget session, which is the reason it was not put in the budget last year, or for this year, I should say.
Thank you for that clarification. So there was a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll call on Supervisor Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking over page 3 on this, I just have a couple questions about it. Consider the column that's labeled 2017 use by rural residents. Two of them just kind of really jump out at me, the Berlin and Ripon Public Libraries. It's quite a bit higher than even the next one, the Fond du Lac, is 850. These are both over 6,000, and One of them's like $15,000 is what we're gonna have to spend on it, and another is $20,000. I'm wondering if this has ever been audited, these numbers have been audited. That just seems way out of proportion when I'm looking at the other libraries that are, some of them built bigger than either of these. So I would probably not vote positive on this. I'd probably take a negative vote on it.
I'll call on the finance director.
I will have to check in to see if they're audited. It comes from the Winnebago library system, so I can check into that and get back to you on when they were last audited.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you Supervisor Weiss, and thank you Supervisor Snyder. I had one question, but I think I know the answer to. This number is based, it's a reimbursement technically, so it's based upon usage in 2018 that you are actually billing for in 2019, or is that a projection?
They actually use 2017 statistics
Okay.
for 2019.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I'll call on Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just thinking that rather than vote against this, since we are really required by law to do this, maybe just ask for a request that for the next time this comes up for next year, that we ask for an accounting to justify the large discrepancy in numbers between Berlin and Ripon and the rest of the counties, which would make more sense than denying it totally. Just a suggestion?
Thank you Supervisor Powers. I'll call on Supervisor Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I tried to do some checking on this today, and as luck would have it, all the Winnefox people were over in Ripon for their annual meeting. So, but what I've managed to find out is we have these agreements with primarily Waushara County and Fond du Lac County. And what this is rural Winnebago County patrons, library patrons, who go to, for instance, Berlin or Ripon or wherever, because it's the closest library, to check out materials. And it's a common occurrence. The reason you don't see any for Waupaca County or Outagamie County is we have an agreement with OWLS that says that we don't charge back and forth among those two. I believe, and that's why I was trying to talk to either Jeff or Mark Aaron, that we are trying to enact these kinds of agreements with Waushara and Fond du Lac also, but have not been able to come to an agreement with them. And as the county executive says, they'll be paying us also if some of their rural patrons come to our library. So it's kind of a give and take. I understand what Jim is trying to say, but it's not at all uncommon, and 41 grand is about what we did in last year too. So.
Thank you Supervisor Snyder for that information. I'll call on Vice Chairman Egan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Another reason is, like over in our area, the Rushford, Nepeska, Utica, they use a lot of them libraries over there because that's mainly where they go. They go to the Berlin School District and the Ripon School District. So a lot of them are just natural to go there. So I think when you get over in that area, that's some of the reason why them two get used more than the others.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Egan. Seeing no other call-ins, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. We'll go ahead and attempt to do this by a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with one no vote, Supervisor Weiss. So that concludes our resolutions for this evening. So I'll call on Supervisor Roble for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move that we adjourn until Tuesday, February 12th at 6 p.m.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.